Hey, what's going on everybody? It's Mike here from AXC Garage. Welcome back to our channel. Today we are back with episode number 3 on our EK9 Civic Type R. We have a few things on the list today, but we're gonna start off with the brakes. Let's take a look. Alright guys, to start off, we have 2 sets of rotors, front rotors, rear brake pads, front brake pads. And now we'll swap out these brake lines from the OEM. These are Stoptech stainless steel brake lines. And also you see a can of spray paint over here. Now let's go ahead and lift up the car. I'm gonna tell you guys a little bit more about it. So here is the front brake for the Civic, rusty rotor and also worn out caliper. So from factory, the Civic Type R calipers do come in the zinc finish, but over the past 26 years, the finish has already been worn out and probably been repainted. And the owner want to stick with the silver finish, just like the ITR. And we have the exact solution with this duplicolor engine enamel DE1615, one of the closest to the OEM silver finish. So let's go ahead and get this started by removing all of the calipers. Guys, we are so happy we're actually doing the brakes on this EK9. On the passenger rear caliper, these slide pins actually frozen to the bracket, and they would cause major problem down the road. Very, very happy that we actually catch it right now. What we're gonna do, we'll get some penetrating oil, we'll get it inside the boot here. Hopefully we can get the slide pin back out, then we can get back to refinishing the caliper. Whoa, that was a bit of work. Take a look at these pins here. Completely fused with the caliper bracket with rust. Now before we put everything back together, we'll put some anti-seize on there to prevent this from ever happening again. Now let's go ahead and put some paint on the caliper and the brackets. All right, we got all 4 calipers completely refinished, including the caliper brackets right over here. Next up, let's work on the stainless steel brake line from Stoptech. We got a set of front and rear brake line kit. Should be pretty straightforward, a direct replacement from the OEM. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, just like that, we got 1 done. We got 3 more to go. All right, we are good to go. Front and rear brakes are completely done. Now all we have to do is bleed the brakes on each corner. All right, guys, we are all done with the brakes. Next up, let's work on the suspension. Guys, talking about suspension, we have everything we need right here on the bench from HardRace USA. The car is 26 years old. The bushing is already worn out and it could use some upgrades. And to start off with, we have front and rear scrape bar link bushing from HardRace. The OEM ones are not available anymore, and we opt in for these upgraded HardRace links. Next up, every EG, EK, and DC will probably need these trailing arm bushing, and later on this video, John and I are going to show you guys step by step how to change those bushing. Next up, we have OEM style front lower control arm. These things not just look good, it fit perfect too. Over here we have front upper control arm with camber adjustment. Now this car right now is completely stopped, but later on we're going to lower it. But in the meantime, it's a good idea for us to get the control arm that we're going to need in the future. And plus, just in case, if you guys looking for an OEM style upper control arm, they have that option too. So next up, let's start off with removing the front upper control arm. Hey guys, as you can see right over here, man, the upper control arm bolt was not even tight. It was barely holding on by the color pin. If the pin was missing, and also the nut would have backed off, the ball joint would have popped off, it would be a disaster. I'm so happy that we're actually replacing the control arms. But guys, here you have it. We have the factory OEM upper control arm right over here. Got worn out bushing, and also take a look at the ball joint, and the boot is just about to rip. Now let's take a look at the HardRace upper control arm. Adjustable ball joint right over here, come with a brand new castle nut and some upgraded bushing. So let's go ahead and put them back in the car. All right, we are all done with the HardRace upper control arms. Now let's work on the lower control arms and also replacing the sway bar links. Well, that was something. The link is completely rusted on the head. You're supposed to be able to hold it down with an Allen key, but it's completely stripped from the rust. So we have to use a vice grip on the other end. And even with that, it's still really rough to come out because all these threads are completely rusted. I'm so glad that we got it out. All right, so we got the upper lower control arm and also the sway bar link installed. Next up, let's work on the trailing arm bushing. We got a trailing arm specialist right over here.
Specialist. Not really, but I've done a few of them, so I'll help you guys out with that. And I happen to have the special tool that we have from SP Tools for Honda Acura trailing arm bushings. This makes your life a lot easier. And this is what we're going after right here. It is notorious for failing on these older cars. This one's still in decent shape, but they're not super responsive because there's a lot of give. Once we get this one out of the car, we're gonna show you what we're gonna be replacing them with, which in my opinion, and it's on all of my cars, is the HardRace upgraded compliance bushing. Really nice mod, and we're gonna show you how we're gonna get this done tonight. All right, so here we have it, the HardRace compliance bushing, specific to all these chassis here, EF, EG, EK, DC, CRV. It's all the same part number across the board. So here they are. This is how they come, all fancy and nice with this sticker. First thing you gotta do is you gotta take that sticker off of there. Our clearances are gonna be really tight when we press this in. You can already see here in comparison to the other one, once we get the other one out, we'll do a little bit closer look. But this is filled, I'd say about 60 to 70% more than the factory one. So this still retains a hard silicone filling, so it still works as a shock absorber. So it's not as hard as, say, a spherical, but it's stronger than the stock. And this is a really solid upgrade for the rear end on all those different chassis we just mentioned.
And based on that special tool that you have right over there, do we have to remove the entire trailing arm and press it out, or that special tool be able to do it without removing entirely?
Perfect question, because that tool eliminates the fact that or the issue of having to remove the entire trailing arm and trying to figure out how to set that really awkward trailing arm up on your press. This actually clamps onto the arm. We're able to leave the brakes hooked up, everything hooked up. Just take a couple arms off, couple bolts, bring the trailing arm down using a ratchet 14 socket. We're gonna press this out and then press it right back in. So on the installation, there's a little bit of prep that I like to do on these. They are aftermarket, they're not a factory one. That being said, fitment is almost perfect to factory, but the tolerances on these are a little bit tighter. So in order to get the proper fit, I like to prep them a little differently. I like to remove the sticker. I also like to take this to my bench grinder and I add a little bit more taper on this inside edge, and then I strip the paint off of here with my wire wheel as well. Not necessary for everyone, but if any guys out there have ever tried to press these in the car, they can be a little bit tricky because the tolerances are tight. So for my own state, peace of mind, I like to do that. And on top of that, I also stick them in the freezer. And what that'll do is kind of, in theory, shrink it a little bit. Optimally, it would be good to put it on, like dry ice, something like that, get it real cold. But the freezer gives us just that little bit extra clearance that we're gonna need. And we already got it set in there chilling, prepped, frozen, ready to get put in these trailing arms. So now we have to drop this down to gain access to the trailing arm bushing. So we're gonna go ahead and remove our toe adjustment here. What you can do is take a marker and mark this. If you don't have access to alignment rack, we're gonna do an alignment when we're done, so I don't need to mark it. So it'll go right back in the same spot. Then we're gonna take our brake line cable off from here, and then we're gonna lower these two down, and we're gonna see how much clearance that gives us. If we need a little bit more, we'll end up taking off the camber arm bolt at the top. Most times you have to. We'll take a look and see how it works out. All right, so here is the SP Tool Special Trailing Arm Extractor and Installing Kit. So this comes with the adapter, and this is for DA specific. Their bushing is a little bit bigger, so you need a little bit of an adapter. Here's the cup. This would sit on there. But for this application, we're just going to use the standard cup. Nice thing about this cup, as you'll see come on this side, is it fits right inside of this thing. It's literally made for it. Has a lip on it so that it sits inside here, and it's going to work perfect. What we do here is we take this and we back this all the way out. Maybe I should use a tool for that next time. So you have your direction on this. This faces up, goes around the arm. You want to take this here, clip it around the lift or a suspension piece, just so that when this pops out, the tool doesn't go fall into the ground and get messed up. So once you have that in place, you try and orientate this directly in line with here. Put your cup in place. Screw this out. Just like that. Next step, what we're going to do is I'm going to spray a little bit of penetrating oil on the bushing, so when it starts to move, it moves nice and smooth. Then we're going to go ahead and work this until we push the bearing out, bushing out. So here you go. This is our old one and our new one. You can clearly see the amount of fill that this has in it, and this is going to really make the rear end of the car a lot tighter. So as you can see here, big difference going from stock to aftermarket.
John, what are you doing, man?
I think someone ate my lunch. Whatever. So here we go. We got the compliance bushings in here. Nice and frosty. I bet if you stick your tongue to that, it'll stick. Don't do that. We're gonna do one at a time so it stays cold. So hopefully this coolness has shrunk the circumference just a little bit to get it to go in a little easier. If it didn't, oh well, we're still in the same boat. I like to think it helps. So here we go. We have some bearing grease. What I like to do is take a little bit of this here and coat my surface with it, just to help this press in a little bit easier. A little lube never hurt nobody. That's what my daddy always told me.
Hey John, do you feel like your previous career as a proctologist helped you with this job?
It could have.
Nice.
I was fired. I wasn't very good. Here's the bushing ready to go in. You want to put the long side in first, and you want to keep this vertical. All right, now that we have it set, you got to keep your eye on this and make sure that it's going in straight. If it starts to go in crooked, you got to stop, either try and reset your press, or you got to whack it with a hammer. It's not the most delicate procedure, but it'll get it done. And keep an eye on it. We'll see if our prep work has helped us to actually send this in right the first time. All right, so we're almost all the way done. A good rule of thumb on how far to press this in is to make the surface of this even with the trailing arm. And you can see over on the other one that we haven't pressed yet, you can see that it's pretty much flush with this, maybe in a little bit. So all we're gonna do is match that on this side. So that's all in. Now to take it back off, double check everything. Daddy likes a lot.
I'm gonna catch it this time. Oh!
Didn't catch it this time. So what we have here is our brand new Hawkeye Elite 680 Hunter wheel alignment system. Top of the line stuff right here. So this is a whole new setup. This setup here goes on the wheel instead of clamping onto the rim. I'm going to show you how it goes on. We have the optional adjustable pieces on here. If you didn't have this, there would be multiple length ones of these. This is also adjustable in and out for different width wheels. So let's see how this works on our tiny 15-inch wheels. So here's our specs for the front. We can see the casters within spec, but you know, everyone, no matter what you say, a little bit of camber is gonna make the car handle good. We'll probably go a ½ degree negative on the front, on both. We have that adjustment now, and our toe is super whacked out. And you're gonna see that when you do a lot of suspension changes, like Mike did, changing the lower control arms, the compliance bushings, and the camber kit. That's all gonna affect toe. This toe may come in to spec more when we adjust the camber. We just gotta take a look and see what happens. The good thing is we have all the equipment on the car to adjust it. We can take a look at the rear. Our cambers are within spec, but out. We're gonna see if we can't get them closer. And here's our toes we have to adjust. That's it, just a simple alignment. This thing will be on the road, ready to do some 9,000 RPM turns around the street corner. I don't know. So, fortunate enough, this car came equipped with a K-tune kit for the rear upper camber, and we're gonna see how much adjustment we have in it to see if we can't get things squared away. All right, so our rear's all in spec, about as close as it's gonna get. So now we're gonna deal with our front camber. So with it being positive, we want some negative. So to gain access to our camber kit, we're gonna lift the front end. To adjust these, all we gotta do is loosen these 414s on the top. So when adjusting these, you wanna just make small adjustments to both sides, and the only way to check it is you gotta bring it back down and recheck what the new camber settings are after the adjustment. All right, so our cambers are all within spec, right close to what it's supposed to be. Looking pretty good for a car that's what, 97? So I think we got this thing ready, and it's definitely ready to go out there and hit some VTEC, you know, have some fun, have people look at you for driving on the wrong side of the car. Man, this thing's gonna be fun. I know it. Man, this thing drives perfect. Dead straight, no hands on the wheel. Man, are we good at what we do or what, Mike?
Hey guys, with new brakes all around, suspension upgrade from HardRace, and the alignment completely dialed in, man, the Civic Type R is ready to hit the road, and it's wrapped up for episode number 3 on the Civic Type R EK9 refresh. On the next episode, we'll be doing some more cosmetic item on the exterior and also the interior. You guys haven't already done so, make sure you give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and turn on that notification so you don't miss anything on this channel. My name is Mike, behalf of AXC Garage. Thank you so much for watching. We hope to see you guys on the next one.